I will say I actually do like the setup as well. The problem is you can't all die at the same time.
Yeah.
Like you can have like Whalers died first, and honestly that's good for them because he spawns right behind the entire Midnight team, and none of those Midnight arrows turned around. But the problem is then the next guy falls, and they had I think 3 or 4 players die all around 18 watching the flank at the exact same time, and that's the huge issue. That's where the setup is just completely falters out.
Well, no 3-0 here to start the day. It was a 250-242 hard point, a 6-2 search and destroy, which gave Elevate a comfortable 2-0 lead. But there was nothing comfortable for Elevate about Game 3. Midnight blitzed them, took it 3-0, a very quick gridlock control. Now, up next, 2 frequencies, which is interesting because you said it was a map which kind of suited Elevate. It would be a frequency.
Yeah, it's just been like with the Sogs, just hyper aggressive. And keep in mind, it's the hit scan change, right? We have seen a handful of teams that have pulled out 3 Sogs on this map. Now, I don't know if that's meta. I don't know what's happened in scrims over the past couple weeks. Maybe teams have worked out. Maybe we don't want to rock 3 Sogs. If I were to guess, I would predict there's certain teams that'll run 2, certain teams are going to run 3. I would imagine United, they give Corsini a 3rd SOG, say have fun. The Gaming, probably a team that'll only run 2 SOGs. So a lot of different potential things that we're going to see on the map like frequency. And I don't know what to expect necessarily.
Right.
But Elevate, again, would be the comfortable team on that.
They're a team that you look at and you go back and the players, for example, and just the team structure now, and you think, all right, well, frequency should work for them. So you're going to feel comfortable if you're an Elevate fan heading into map number 4. The only big issue really is that Game 3. To me, Midnight just plowed straight through. Elevate in no round really looked all that comfortable, which is a bit of a problem. You go back to the first respawn of the series, though, and again, it was very similar. Midnight in control for the majority of the game before a big step up from Whalers brought them all the way back into it, and it almost felt as if they stole map 1, if I'm being completely honest, but they find themselves 2-1 up, one more map, close it out, move on to the next round.
And that's probably the key matchup. Like Whalers, the standout guy from Elevate, has to have a big game, can't afford to slow down at all, and probably is one of those situations where you probably need to earn streaks at a certain point. On the flip side, for Midnight, it's got to be Frosty. Man had a 1.9 KD the first time he played Elevate, needs to match that, but this squad for Elevate, again, you know that what is it, Rafizi, super happy on this map to be running a SOG, but I don't know how many players are going to match him. I don't know if Believe is going to make that switch to the SOG, or if him and Emma Ruiz, excuse me, are going to be sticking with the Maddoxes. So just something to keep an eye on, because I don't know what the best meta is, but I have to imagine it's at this tournament where we're going to find out.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. A couple teams had a bit more practice than others with the new patch, and testing and experimenting with the subs. It comes down to obviously specific maps, of course, but making sure you exploit those maps when you have a team that can successfully run 3 subs. You've got to try and get as many of those maps possible in the cycle. And I mean, right now, if you're Elevate, you're up 2-1 and you get a frequency. So if 3 subs are what you want to run, that's good.
And before we go too far, I'm not saying this map is favored for Elevate.
Sure.
I'm saying this would be their map pick. This is the map that they would happiest be playing in hardpoint for the same time.
For your tournament, absolutely.
Right, but they were 2-6, right? So it's not like their respawn have been great overall. It took some big plays just for them to win the map number 1. So we're saying they're comfortable. I'm not necessarily saying that means that they're favored.
But here's the thing about Elevate. They feel like that kind of old-fashioned search and destroy kind of team. You know what I mean? Where you say, steal a respawn, right? And try and go Game 5.
No, but at the same time, frequency is map number 5, and that's a map where Midnight, I think even, roster changes, they pick up Frosty, a couple new guys on the team, but they play hyper aggressive on the map, and they have shown more different looks on this map than really than any other team would show on any search map. But so they're creative frequency S&D team. They are.
But still, if you are Elevate, though, you're thinking, or at least that's how I view this team, is steal the respawn, force a Game 5. That's your highest percentage chance of winning series. The fact that, as you mentioned, frequency is Game 5 probably doesn't help them all that much. But before we even get to Game 5, we got Game 4. Frequency hardpoint. Can Midnight stay alive here in Miami, force a Game 5 in our first series of the day? Bump our stats up a little bit.
Yeah. Our first match, and we're already eliminating teams. This is a different kind of tournament. We've never had this before.
No, single LM is hell of a stressful time if you're a player. It's a great spectacle if you're a viewer, I'll tell you that, though. Definitely that's a little bit more pressure for some of these teams. And, for those of you that say, oh, it's unfair, you are watching the bottom 8 teams from the Pro League, the top 8 teams on the other side, of course. they're ready and waiting. You won't see many of them in action. Only 2 teams later on today in that playoff bracket round number 1. Here on Frequency, it is Midnight. The early lead, 26-0, with 15 seconds left in P1. Full control, but it is Elevate, as of right now at least, controlling the small.
And you remember that time I said, hey, maybe a 3-SOG men on the map. Midnight pulls out 4. They pulled out 4 off the rip. Llama God and Frosty both made the switch. And you can see, opening break and the first hill, almost as good as it gets. 39-0 lead. Now, I would not be surprised if Llama God and Frosty maybe switch back to a Maddox on, at the very least, the 4th hill, if not even right now. So just something to keep an eye on, but a very strong opening break, which means Elevate, well, they need to bounce back on this second hill.
So just a bit of it, obviously, insight into what we were talking about. We were talking about the subs and different teams. Frosty still has it out now, but it is Elevate controlling the hill. As I say that, though, in flies Frosty. Midnight break, believe left. Wondering what the hell happened. His teammates do find a couple of kills, but again, it's still Midnight now with control of the spawns and also the hill. For Elevate, they're fighting for the front.
And this is already the most SOG kills I might have ever seen in Black Ops 4. That kill feed, it is Whalers and then SOGs. Even Parasite is picking up double kills with this SOGs. I still have to imagine he's actually running an ICR as his main gun, but picked one up off the ground. But it has just been a hyper-aggressive SOG fest, which for the moment, Midnight well out on top.
7-20, the lead as we go over towards P3. Again, it's Midnight with control, Elevate, locking down the spawns. However, the difference here is Zaptius. He's 325 away from streaks. Really not all too close, but a couple of kills could maybe spiral this game out of control as Royalty with 10 health and a dream does escape. He himself 275 away from streaks now. 30 seconds, the contest comes through, and Llama's just lying down. And this is something that you see more and more players start to do in Black Ops 4. Chance kind of called this out 3 months ago, saying with just the pace of the game and the movement mechanics of the game as streaks are earned, players don't expect you to be lying down. It's the absolute last thing you would expect. Players adjusting, starting to use it as a bit of a cheeky technique. You're never really going to team wipe, but you may find one and it's going to help the trading process.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, there's definitely a couple spots like that exact one that teams now are definitely prepared for. Laying down gridlock showers, teams are definitely more prepared for, but we've seen a little bit more and more. Keep in mind, things we're also seeing in this game, Midnight is utterly destroying Elevate.
This isn't close, Chance.
It's not even remotely close. The only reason Royalty didn't get the Hellstorm is because he got team killed at the very end. The SOG dominance has been absurd. Keep in mind, Llama God has switched to the Maddox, but it's just...
The damage is done, though. The damage has been massively done. That first hill was just destruction.
And keep in mind, this is how important that Map 1 win was. The expectation was Midnight was going to be better in the respawns. Whalers goes off. They had big plays on the gridlock just to make sure they get to this point. Ben, it really is looking like a Map 5. And again, this is the kill feed has literally been maybe 80% SOGs, 10% beatdowns, and then Whalers and Parasite occasionally getting ICR kills.
And even both of them are picking up swords as well. So crowd saying, ah, well, let's join in with the fun. After the first rotation. Over 100-point lead for Midnight now. You still have a streak. You're working towards more streaks. You got Grab Slam.
They got the War Machine. This has been pouring it on the opposition. This has been incredible stuff from Midnight. Does not pull the trigger on the Grab Slam. It would have been a perfect opportunity for it. And finally, a little bit of life for the side of Elevate.
Small amount, but now you get to hold the hill. Proven to be an easy task for Elevate thus far. There's a chance at P2. Zaptius flies in. There's the Grab Slam used this time. Tested. Is the hard one. Team killed for Elevate. Good news at all. Midnight will take control. It's just a matter of time, and at 20-second scrap time, maybe Elevate's able to fight for. Maybe they get it, but the spawn's now in control of Midnight for P2. Parasite again working towards some streaks. I mean, should we start talking about Game 5 now, or do you want to wait before this is official?
We can wait for it to be official. I mean, we've seen some crazy comebacks, maybe not as often on Frequency, but just to keep in mind what Elevate has to fight through. Basically, every specialist that Attack 5 gets popped. Obviously, the War Machine was the last still, but they have the Tempest, they have the Fire Break as well. Of course, you see Believe with the War Machine is actually able to earn one himself and uses that to pick up a couple kills. So, again, Elevate showing just a few signs of life.
Hey, that's great. But again, so much damage was done off that first rotation. They finally break through. There's 30 seconds left. They don't have control of the spawns. And Royalty's going to make a really smart play here, just pushing straight through. Say, all right, well, if we break it, we break it. If we don't, at least that will have influenced the spawns somewhat for the new hill. And you still, don't forget, have Royalty with a lightning strike available. So if things do maybe get a little dicey over towards pipes, just drop it down and voila, free break.
Well, things might be getting dicey. You already got players spawning out. Zappius in the back, you got Royalty in the back, so you do have a very good potential break for Elevate. Players underneath, though, are getting cut down by Llama God. He gets traded, but trades are back and forth. But Elevate, you see, they were able to go and secure those spawns. They did their job. They were able to force Midnight to spawn out on the last hill, so there's potential, Ben.
Here's the problem. They went into the second rotation about 100 points down. You're still 100 points down. You've not done anything massively to influence this game back in your favor. Still splitting time, specialist use. You can have the spawns all you want. Just keep it contested. The time will start slowly but surely ticking away. I remember the last half one we had, which went to time, but obviously players just keep contesting. Time slowly but surely drop it down as Midnight back in the hill. Purifier from above. Farsight with 2. And now with 15 seconds left, we already have one player rotated through. That's Frosty on the new hill ready and waiting if he does fall. That lightning strike from Royalty looking pretty good.
Yeah, Parasite gets a perfect use out of the fire break as well. So the lead got cut down just a little bit, but Midnight pretty much instantly reacts to bump it back up. I think you called it. Well, I was thinking use the lightning strike to break the hill. Royalty's just going to fly in and say, hey, I've been doing great with the SOG. Why use anything else?
Use the weapon. 40 seconds. 41 to be precise. All Midnight need. Oh, they will head to that game 5. Game 5 frequency, search and destroy. Stay on the map. You mentioned Midnight's creativity. Elevate though, it's almost the game plan, right? Steal the respawn, send it to a game 5 search, try and close it out there. A lot of pressure on the line. It is, as I said, almost inevitable. For now, you would need Elevate to play absolutely perfectly, which, if I'm honest, is just not going to happen in terms of respawn from this squad. And to your point, I think you called it absolutely magnificently. That first hard point, how important of a steal that was from Elevate, just to give them a chance of winning this series.
It is massive, but still got to do our due diligence. Llama God actually gets chopped down before the lightning chain comes in, but Parasite, again, was able to eventually get those streaks. Has the lightning, has the Hellstorm, and it's all specialists outside of Whalers off the board. So it would take a nutty play out of the Tempest, but Midnight, 20 seconds away. We're just waiting for that game number 5, and I will say that Midnight, a very well-prepared team on this map. I was expecting a 3-SOG meta. They rock 4 at times 5, and then they bounce back and forth. You got players swapping for the Maddox and the SOG, and yes, Whalers can do some fancy things. But it was simply not enough.
Great type of shots, but as you said, not enough. 12 seconds, all that's needed. Still have Parasite with Streaks. He's used the lightning. Hellstorm available. Whalers is edged closer towards Streaks of his own. And you would, again, need absolute perfect play, which you're just not going to get as the new hill pops. I would love to believe in a fairy tale comeback here. I really would. But in all reality, score ticks down. Midnight, 2 more seconds, and that will be GG. First series here in Miami. Single a limb. We're going to game 5.
We're up to about 45%. We're bumping up the numbers just a little bit, but again, 2 of the most important things of changes for this event at the very least. Number 1, it's the hit scan SOG on a map like Frequency. Normally we have seen 2, at times 3. More recently it's been mainly 3, and now we're bumping up to 4 and occasionally in that 5 territory. So it'll be interesting how many different teams show off something like that. This is Midnight and Elevate. What do we see when an E United plays, when LG plays, when 100 Thieves? How many SOGs they want to pull out? They might run 1 SOG on a map like Frequency and just have 4 Maddoxes.
Yeah,
like,
just run all the Maddoxes.
There's no telling what we're going to see. I don't know exactly what's best, but I expect it to be a ton of SOGs on the map. Yep, we caught a glimpse of it there.
Well, pressure on the line in our first series of the day. Elevate Midnight tied at 2-2. We'll be back after this with Game 5 Search and Destroy.